What is up, Earthnoids and Spacenoids? I am just a simple new type, and in this episode, we are beginning a complete history of Mobile Suit Gundam character series. Let's start by covering Zeon's most proper boy, M'Quve, one of Caecilia's subordinates in control of Zeon's land operation during the One-Year War. This man was one of the Spacenoids' first noblemen, who prided himself on lineage over bureaucracy. The art collector met his maker in quite a different amount of ways, depending on which media you consume. Not only will we go over the life and deaths of M'Quve, we will see how his death influenced other Gundam works. Grab your favorite porcelain and let's get into this. M'Quve was cunning, bureaucratic, and manipulative, but besides being considered the worst villain simply for denying Ramba Rao some DOMs, who is the landing operation commander? He is a logistics man, as we have seen in his art dealings. M'Quve was Lady Caecilia's representative during the negotiation to end the One-Year War, which ultimately turned into the Antarctic Treaty. If it weren't for Garma's desire to join the battle, he most likely would have assumed control of the Earth attack operation. But nepotism be damned. If you look specifically at Gundam Origin, you can make an argument that Rear Admiral Garcia Romeo would have filled in some of the Earth Command as well. After Garma was successful with the landing operation, Zeon controlled all resources on Earth. This is where M'Quve shined. He took over the mines in Eastern Europe and handled all resources and manufacturing for Zeon. He effectively brought Zeon manufacturing to Earth. Of course, with the Federation reclaiming the mines, culminating in the Battle of Odessa, we begin to see M'Quve's downfall. Let's dive into one of his deaths that is always forgotten in the discussion. Tomino's original novel, Mobile Suit Gundam Awakening, Escalation, Confrontation, is vastly different from the classic anime series. Rather than Garma taking over Earth and M'Quve controlling Earth resources, most of the battle takes place in space. Garma in this version is under control of California Colony, while M'Quve is managing resources from Texas Colony and the surrounding area in what is called the Texas Zone. During a battle with Pegasus, Joaquin's ship just went down. Hayato in the novel is extremely insecure with his position amongst his comrades. His character's a little bit too much in the novel. I'm glad they scaled him back in the anime, and Yas decided to scale him back up in Origin. After being told he will always be a gun cannon specialist, and nothing more, he takes off without permission. Sayla calls him back, but he is determined to matter. He gets caught up in a pincer. When he sees M'Quve's damaged Chevet, he rushes in and fires everything he had, taking down the Chevet and killing M'Quve. This took place in Gundam Awakening, the first volume of the book, and it happens relatively early in the timeline. Lala dies during this battle, as well as Hayato. In the novel, his death and the loss of the Texas Zone wasn't as impactful as losing all of Earth, and ultimately just pushed the front back, closer to Zeon's homeland. In Gundam the Origin, or as I like to call it, Gundam Yas Bitch, the divide amongst the Zabis is more apparent than what is shown in the anime. Pettiness and ego are on full display between Dozle, Gihren, and Caecilia. After the death of Garma, Ramba Rao was sent by Dozle to destroy the Gundam. M'Quve, being a subordinate, ensures that all glory goes to Caecilia. However, rather than personally sabotage Ramba Rao, he merely says, let him vie for his place in the sun. He lets him fend for himself, which ultimately still leads to Ramba Rao's death. Before the Battle of Odessa, Gihren contacts him and tells him that ultimately, if he fails, he isn't welcome back at Zeon. This leads to him dropping a nuke on Revel's Big Trey class. Luckily, Amado saved the day. M'Quve lost. He decides to go out in his Gion with a small squad of Goose to hold EFF back until his team can retreat. Yurgain reminds M'Quve that Gihren wanted him to detonate all of Zeon's arsenal and self-destruct Odessa. He disobeys Gihren's order. Remember, M'Quve is an Earth weeb. He loves the art and the culture of Earth more than some Zeonist ideal. He'd rather protect art with his life over Zeon's victory. He fights with all of his might and even takes out a wave of Fetty mobile suits. In the manga, the Federation remembers that they actually have a navy and push from the oceans, as Himalayan-class ships begin an assault. In a last act, M'Quve heads into the ocean and self-destructs, taking out some Himalayans. His last words were that he hopes Yurgang delivered the porcelain to Caecilia. Yas's version of M'Quve didn't allow his ego to run wild, and embraced his love of art and culture so much so that he would die for it. But he also set up failsafes after his death. We have seen this in the 2015 remake of Mobile Suit Gundam Blue Destiny side story. There was an unnamed commander that functioned more like an art thief. Under M'Quve's orders, they were able to make it from Odessa to California base in an attempt to get the art off planet. One of these pieces of art is called Future World, said to have helped fuel Zeon Daikum's new type theory. Yu Kajima and his guinea pig team was assigned to get back this piece of art from Zeon. While Yu was attacking in his Blue Destiny stealth, the artist snuck into the city, killed Makuve's art dealer, and burned all the art, including his future world piece. While Garma was handling forces on Earth, Makuve was focusing on the mines and the manufacturing to help the Earth attack force. However, he doesn't want Giran to know what he is doing here, suggesting he is doing something shady. He also wants the glory to go to Kycilia. After Garma's death, Dozel sent Ramba Rao to Earth. Facing off with Amado, Ramba Rao's goof was destroyed. He and his team fled. The anime and the manga flipped the events of Odessa and Jaburo. Because of this, the events in the anime are still happening in North America. Ramba Rao asks for some DOMs as per Giran's orders. Makuve sends DOMs from Odessa, but he also orders them to be destroyed en route. Ramba Rao knows too much about his mining operations, and he doesn't like that. Rao doesn't get the DOMs, but he continues forward with his mission to destroy White Base anyways. He uses kuis and jetpacks and rallies his forces to go on foot. Of course, this led to the death of Ramba Rao. While losing ground during the Battle of Odessa, Makuve fires a nuclear weapon. Amado is able to take out the nuke while also killing the remaining black Tri-Stars. Makuve flees. His men, however... He was confident that he transported enough resources off-planet for Zeon to win this war. He says enough resources that will last 10 years. This absolutely wasn't the case, however. Later, Makuve is a part of the Solomon mop-up squad and saves Zena and Minerva Zabi after the fall of Solomon, which leads us to the Battle of Texas Colony. Here, Makuve decided to go out personally to take down the Trojan Horse and the Gundam. High Command never has to fight. They must lead. But Makuve's hubris got the best of him in the anime. He heads out in his Gyan with a team of Rickdoms. The battle leads inside of Texas Colony, when Char and his Gelgoog tries to help, but Makuve's pride won't allow it. Char practices malicious compliance and obeys his orders at the expense of his life. Amado ends up slicing him and the Gyan in half. Lala even tries to stop Amado, but fails. His last words again were yelling out to Uragang to deliver his penis vase. Special shout out to the old Kondo 0079 manga, where he died in a similar vein. At least I think so. It's been like 35 years since that's been published. Good luck finding those old Viz printings. Oh, it's not online either. One manga that is influenced more by the anime than the compilation films is the manga Rust Horizon. Sometime in between Garma's death and Odessa, Makuve was at California base testing a new mobile suit codenamed Rust. The pilot is Ensign Remia Lalan, who happened to be Isolina's friend. In the compilation movies, Isolina's death was removed, but here she is seeking revenge for her friend's death. On top of that, Makuve's attitude of taking resources and bailing is more aligned with the anime. The compilation movies takes out a lot of Makuve's motivations to help Kycilia. The scene of him denying the DOMs are removed, and much of his scheming in the mines are also gone. More importantly, his death is completely removed. The fight between Makuve and Amado is gone, and they edited the film to be a struggle between Char and Amado. This assumes that he ultimately lived as last he was seen helping Zena and Minerva. Let's flash back to the 1-year war. The MASH driver base at Granada is being invaded by Zaku 1s and Luna tanks. These look like Adsums with treads. This, along with Granada, gives them easy access to assault Earth. Kycilia accomplished this with the help of Makuve. This was covered in the fabulous Shin Matsunaga. During this time, we see internal conflict between Dozel and Kycilia over Zaku production. Shin Matsunaga is caught between Kycilia and Dozel's faction, and faces imprisonment depending on where his loyalty lies. This manga follows the movie's ending and mentions that Makuve survives and protects Minerva and Zena during the end of the war, which leads up to our next manga. The manga Char's Deleted Affair picks up right after Char blows up Kycilia's face during the Battle of Abawaku. Just as Lala helped guide Amado to safety, so too did she guide Char to a Guazin. On board is Makuve protecting Zena and Minerva. Makuve, Char, and some others go out to protect the Guazin as it begins its journey to Axis. It would be a distraction, as Zena would be on a Komsai. Char was loaned a Gelgoog. They were able to push past the Federation defensive line. However, Makuve's Gyan was hit by a Magellan, and he goes down in battle. Thanks to Makuve's help, Char and Minerva were able to fight another day. In an alternate universe, the 1-year war began in a similar manner. However, rather than Amado ending up in the Gundam, Char decided to steal it in the name of Zeon, along with the Trojan Horse. The rest of the 1-year war played out quite similar. Makuve still lost at the Battle of Odessa and fled into space. However, because Char stole the Gundam, there is no Amado. And because there is no Amado, there is no battle at Texas or battle at Abawaku. So M'Quve lives. What? This, however, leads to M'Quve taking control of Luna 2, stationing Big Zams around the asteroid. Expecting an attack on Luna 2, Joaquin actually goes behind his back, steals Solomon, and tries to drop it on Granada. Char ended up creating the first Kida Kida in the process and disappeared. Last we hear of M'Quve in this universe is in passing. MASH left the military, and soon after, M'Quve discharged Gaia and Ortega of the Black Tri-Stars. What are you up to, GQ M'Quve? It's weird seeing him alive. And that will do it for this episode. M'Quve is a fascinating character. I personally like the yassification of him. Even though he cares less about Zeonism, he still is willing to die for something. Anime M'Quve comes off as someone who steals resources and bails. Let me know what your favorite version of M'Quve is, and let me know which character I should cover next. But that will do it for now, new types. Remember to be gentle when you flick your phallic vase. Peace.